understanding the source as the laksham of the tapasya, it works. Nothing else works. I have analyzed all this stuff in life, I am telling you. Nothing works. You look at existence as tapas. Existence is not just something to be blindly gone through. It is tapas. Study is tapas. Living is tapas. Going through prarabdham is tapas. And understanding the truth is tapas. And the moksha is the phalam of tapas. And srishti is tapo bhumi. Are you able to follow? This jagat is what? Tapo bhumi. And the jiva is tapasvi. Jiva is tapasvi. Jagat is tapo bhumi. Living is tapas. Studying is tapas. And there is a laksham for tapas, understanding the truth. That is the phalam. If you look at everything as tapas, it works. If you look at the world as bhogyam, it doesn't work. If you look at the person as bhogi, it doesn't work. Karmi, it doesn't work. Sanskara is something else. Okay. Raga dveshas get minimized immediately, instantly, the moment you look at yourself as a tapasvi, living in tapobhumi, going through tapas of studying and thinking for understanding the truth, which is the phalam, which is the truth, then you don't mind, koi baat nahi. Tapobhumi mein kya? Now coming back to the point, sadeva saditi astita matram vastu sukshmam nirvisesham sarvagatam ekam niranjanam niravayamam, and at the end he says vijnanam. It's all just talking. What is that vastu? Astita matram, just pure existence. Existence is in the form of experience. Existence cannot be objectified. If you objectify, it is not existence, it is a form. The one who objectifies is existence. I am keval astita matram. I am alone is existence. Therefore, existence is a matter of anubhava. This universe, we can't call it as astita matra. It's not pure existence. It is a distortion of existence. Creation is a distortion in existence. Thinking is a creation in existence. Thinking itself is not existence. It boils down to existence. It is ananya with existence. That is a different matter. But thinking as thinking is a creation in existence. Therefore, thinking stands for so many things. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, remembering, liking, disliking, etc. Disliking, etc., 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 etc. is a creation in existence. It's a creation. Therefore, the universe is not existence. The body is not existence. Mind is not existence. One's being is the astita matra. The identity of one's being, in which dehoham is seen. That is creation. Call it creation or perception. It is in contrast to the being anyway. The word creation is in contrast to the being. The thinking also is in contrast to the being. Doing is in contrast to the being. Creating is in contrast to the being. Maya Srishti also is in contrast to the being. Any word, creation, thinking. Therefore, what is directly Anubhava Siddham What is directly experienced is existence. That is called Sanmatram, Kevala Astita Matram. Vastu, which is the truth, Sukshmam, the subtlest because that cannot be objectified. That's what one is. Nirvisesham, free from all physical attributes. Sarvagatam, all pervasive. Ekam, it is indivisible one. Niranjanam, untainted. And Niravayavam, it is limbless. It is not really made of many things. Niravayavam means, it is not really an assembled. It is not an assemblage. Niravayavam. And then towards the end, Bhagavan says it. That's where the clinching comes. Till then, imagination. One would imagine. Vijnanam. And it is consciousness. Vijnanam. It is Anubhava Rupam. Vijnanam is Anubhava Rupam. All that I have said, Astita Matram, Vastu, Sukshmatvam, Nirviseshatvam, Sarvagatatvam, Ekatvam, Niranjanatvam, Niravayavatvam is all Vijnanam. It is in the form of Vijnanam. Yad Avagamyate, which is indeed made understood. Sarva Vedantebhyaha. This is what is made understood by all Vedanta. It is made understood. It is not made experienced. It is already within experience, made understood. In fact, Shastram Parampara prompts man. Prompts. Parampara, Sampradayam prompts man. Think, understand, think, understand. Sampradayam plays a different role. Tradition plays a different role. It persuades you. It persuades you. Whereas Vedanta as a pramanam is meant to state what the truth is and leave it at that. And it is left to the jiva to understand. But Vedanta also really becomes like a mother, tries to persuade the jiva to understand. You see, one is a stating a fact, the other is persuading man to look at it. They are two different things. Like mother does two jobs. One is she cooks food and then puts it on the table and she should go and relax. No, she brings the children and then persuades them to eat. Is it one role or two roles? Two roles. You understand what I am saying? Cooking food and placing it on the table, the mother's job is over and it's for the children. Jao, khana ho to khao, nahi khana ho to mat khao. It's good enough. No, the mother not only cooks food but also persuades the children to eat. And if the children don't eat, then the mother tries to feed them also, spoon feed them. Otherwise, you can't get the privilege of being called mummy. That is the price that you have to pay. You have to pay the price of cooking food and persuading children and even spoon feeding them to be called, to enjoy the privilege of being called mother. That's the best. Similarly, Mother Shruti not only states the fact but prepares the student to understand it, persuades the student to understand it. That persuasion also you have to see, abhyasa. Abhyasa comes under the persuasion. One can read persuasion in the abhyasa. Into abhyasa, one can read that persuasion. Why not? Therefore, even though the Shruti makes the student understand the truth, that does not in any way mean the truth is not already felt, experienced. Shastra only points out. Yes, this is pointing out, drawing man's attention to it. That's all it does. Yad avagamyate, vijnanam yad avagamyate, what is understood, sarva vedantebhyaha, from all the Vedanta. The topic that is understood through all the Vedantas is indeed that pure existence, that Kevala existence, Ekam, Niranjanam, Nityam, is the topic. Therefore, that is the sole topic of Vedanta. What is conveyed by Vedanta is called Sat. Sat is the topic of Shabda Pramanam. There are two things. One is Sat is something, that is the topic of Vedanta. Okay, it doesn't really strike the real chord. Sat, which is taught by Vedanta, and it is taught only by Shabda Pramana, and it is not available anywhere else. It is universally experienced, but only Shabda conveys it. Shabda Pramanam conveys it. Vedanta Pramanam conveys it. Okay, Eva Shabdaha. Okay, now here there are two things. In yesterday's class, I specified one point. We don't say before the creation there was Sat. We say this universe before the creation was Sat. This creation was Sat. Makes all the difference. That is unfoldment. That is unfoldment. This universe before it appears was Sat. Alright, does it mean to say that it is not Sat now? Even now it is Sat. Seen as Jagat. But it is being Sat, being seen as Jagat. See the farak? It is only being seen. That is what is called Nama. It is Sat plus name and form. This Sat plus name and form, this name and form, even though we say Sat plus name and form, it is a Mithya plus. It is not a real plus. It is not like Ghata plus. It is not like a cow plus a horse. It is like water plus wave. What a plus it is. The so-called Vishesha. Anyway, Eva Shabdaha. Now please see, Eva Shabdaha, the word Eva, well, Avadharanarthaha. The word Eva is meant to show that indeed this universe before the creation was indeed the Sat and nothing else. Was indeed Sat and nothing else. Sat hi tha. Kim tad avadhriyate ityaha. Kim tad avadhriyate ityaha. Alright, sir. You say Evakara is meant to do avadharanam. What is it that is determined by this word? This Evakara is meant, this word Eva is meant to determine. Now the question is, what does the word Eva determine? Nishchit Rup se Kahana is called avadharan. Nishchit Rup se Kahana is called, in Hindi it is called He. तरंग सृष्टि के पहले जल ही था और कुछ नहीं था. दैट ही इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड अवधारणा. अवधारणा बहुत जरूरी है. somehow or other if you can pick up good enough, किसी ना किसी प्रकार, किसी ना किसी रूप में समझो. किम तदवध्रियते. व्हाट इज इट दैट द एवकारा डिटरमिन्स? Iti aha. The answer is given. Idam jagat, this universe, nama rupa kriyavat. Excellent. Name, form, and action. Name, form, and kriyavat. Movement. Every form has a name and every form is mobile. Mobility is called Kriya. And that which is not a form has no name and it is also not mobile. So in fact, when we talk about Kartritvam, when we go into the correct definition or even one of the definitions, if we try to adopt some other method to convey to the student, we fall back on this. That is, Atma cannot be mobile. The subject cannot be mobile. Therefore, Kartrutvam is not possible. Kartrutvam is not possible. Where mobility is not possible, actorship is not possible, because only the forms have names, only the forms are mobile, whereas the subject who sees the forms is not mobile. Therefore, the body is mobile, whereas Atma is not mobile. Body is mobile. The one who sees the mobility, the one who sees the body, and the one who sees the mobility of the body is not mobile. That has to be taken. One has to account for it. How can the knowledge of mobility be mobile? If knowledge of mobility is also mobile, then to illumine that mobile knowledge, you require another knowledge. Then that also would be mobile. It will lead to anavastha. Anavastha means what? Endless. Regress ad infinitum. Meaning what? It is endless. It is endlessly inconclusive. Endlessly inconclusive is called anavastha. Avastha na vidyate. Avastha means what? Thus far, no further is called avastha. Thus far, no further is called avastha. Na avastha, anavastha. Anavastha means what? There is no such a thing called thus far, no further. It is endless. Thus far, no further. No, it is endless. It goes on and on and on. It means what? It becomes inconclusive. This is what is called. It is what is called absurd. Absurd means what? It's a flaw in thinking. It's precipitating a flaw in thinking. And therefore, that the form is mobile is evident, and that the one who is aware of the form is not mobile. Therefore, the feeling that I am mobile is an error. That the body is mobile is a fact, because body is a form and it has to be mobile. Every physical form has to be mobile. But the idea that I am mobile is an error, because it is the subject who says, it is the subject who thinks that I am mobile. Therefore, he imposes upon himself, the subject imposes upon himself the mobility of the body. The mobility that belongs to the body, he imposes it on himself. This is called self-imposition. Imposing on oneself what doesn't belong to oneself. You see, what doesn't belong to me, I ascribe it to myself. The mobility doesn't belong to me, I come to live with the idea that mobility is like, and therefore when a person travels from India to just see the bhranti, very, very interesting. When a man travels from India to America, actually all that travels from here to there is only the body. But the one who is aware, he is aware of India, he is aware of the body, he is aware of the distance, he is aware of America, he is aware of India, he is aware of America, he is aware of the distance. That means he is only aware, and also the movement of the body. Therefore, the one who is constantly aware of the movement is not moving. And for this I gave the example. Now, when the pot moves, we think the space inside it also moves. When the pot is moving, space in it is not moving. Only pot is moving in space. Space doesn't move. When you carry pot from here to America, the space in it is not traveling. The space is only one. Only the pot is traveling in space, not space is traveling inside the pot. Space inside the pot is not traveling, pot is traveling, but it creates a bhranti. The space in it also is traveling. Space in it. It's not, space is not a chunk. Space is one indivisible. That is why here, Brihadaranyaka, he takes it here. It's very beautiful. Idam jagat nama rupa Kriyavat. That third thing he has brought in here, Bhashikaras, because that is his pet word also. Looking at the physical as name, form and mobility. Jagat is Nama, Rupa. And mobility is very comprehensive term. To begin and end is also mobility. Change is mobility. To begin and end is mobility. And to move from place to place is also mobility. It's all Kriya. Therefore, this universe, which is name, form and Kriya, Kriyavat, Nama, Rupa, Kriyavat, Vikritam upalabhyate. And what is this Jagat? Vikritam. Vikritam means a distortion. It's a vikara. It is a vikara of a reality. There is nothing wrong in translating Vikritam as a distortion. Viparita darshanam. Like Rajju, it happens to be rope. I look at it as snake. It's kind of a Vikritam. That it is rope is Prakriti. It's called Prakritam. That it is rope is Prakritam. And that it is seen as snake is Vikritam. It's kind of a distortion. There is a original form and then it gets distorted. That is called Vikritam. Upavat Vikritam upalabhyate, and that is what is perceived. Upalabhyate is seen. It is passive voice. Upalabhyate. Yat tat jo. So the yat jo tat that, meaning that which is seen, the jagat that is name, the jagat that is form, the jagat that is mobile, the jagat that is a distortion, the jagat that is perceived. Upalabhyate yat tat. Before it was distorted or before it was created, Sadeva Asit. Sadeva, truth alone, the being alone, awareness alone, Atma alone, subject alone, Sat alone. It's always better to just, the moment you hear the word Sat, it should mean only the being of oneself. It is the being of the subject. Because one can't think of the being as other than one's own being. I can't objectify the being. I can objectify the form, but I can't objectify the being. It's almost like saying, just in a very simple, you can't objectify silence. How can you objectify silence? What you can't objectify through the senses, 5 senses, you can't objectify. Something related to the form. Even when you objectify love, I tell you, without objectifying the form for which you have love, try to objectify love. We say it is Sakshi, it is what is called as Sakshi Pratyaksham, theek hai ji, Vyakhyan mein aata hai. If you can objectify love, try to objectify love without objectifying the object of love. Feel love for your son without thinking of your son. Feel love for your son. Feel love don't think of the object of love and feel love. Feel hate without thinking of the object of hate. Feel anger without thinking of the object of anger. Therefore, emotions are absolutely projection. They are a part of projection. Emotions are object, sense object. Even though we say the love itself is not an object of the eyes, but then without objectifying the form, the love cannot be objectified. Therefore, love is connected to the sense object. All emotions are connected to sense objects. Because without thinking of the sense objects, you have no emotions. बहुत बड़ी बात है जी. You can't have emotions. Love, hate. Without thinking of money, try to feel greed, but without thinking of greed for something. Suppose there is no thought of money, no memory of money. Money is a blackout from the mind. Let us just imagine it's a blackout. Money is a blackout. Then feel greed for it. The enemy is a blackout. Feel enmity for it, him. Objects are a blackout. Think of children are a blackout, let us say. Children are blackout. Feel love for them. Therefore, even all emotions are connected to sense objects. Memories are also connected to sense objects. That is why pratyaksha rooted inside pratyaksha. Emotions are rooted inside pratyaksha. Memories are rooted inside pratyaksha. They have affiliation with the pratyaksha. Therefore, once we say pratyaksha, please understand, pratyaksha brings all these things. Because in pramana vichara, then we will have a crisis. If we don't bring in emotions inside pratyaksha, then we will ask a question, what is the pramana that there are emotions? What is the pramana? Then you have to say it is swata siddham. Although like Atma, it can't be swata siddham. Then you have to say, so if it is not a pramana siddham, then you have to say sakshi siddham. That is no way of saying. That is not another pramana. There are 5 pramanas: pratyaksha, anumana, arthapatti, anupalabdhi, upamana, plus shabda pramana. These are the pramanas. Emotions come under which pramana? ये तो बताना पड़ेंगे. Emotions like love, hate, etc. come under which pramana? You can't say I infer them. No, one directly sees them. You don't infer emotions. You don't presume emotions. You don't really, there's no. Therefore, it is better to bring all emotions as emotions under pratyaksha. Though some of the vyakhyakas say, so the emotions come under sakshi pratyaksham. All right, sakshi pratyaksham, theek hai ji. But then can you entertain emotions independent of pratyaksha? Supposing you can entertain emotions independent of pratyaksha, then you can say it is something else. Sakshi pratyaksham, kuch na kuch kar sakte. Therefore, the old thing, the old tradition, that's perfect. It is all pratyaksha. Iti asid. Therefore, now coming back to the point that I was making is, we can never objectify silence. Therefore, we can never objectify existence. Because the very subjects, the very existence of oneself is existence. The very existence of one's being is called existence. There is no other existence. Existence is not a quality of multiple things. Existence is indivisible. There is only one thing that is indivisible. Subject is indivisible. That is the indivisible existence. To be is felt only by him. Therefore, now a question is, the Shruti says, all that one sees called the Jagat that is seen, the name and form that is the name that is the Jagat, the form that is the Jagat, the Kriya that is the Jagat, this universe before it became manifest, before it was created, it was Sat. Sat Asit. Asit is a past tense. It is a Asit is a lung. It's not lit. Asit. It is past tense. It doesn't matter. Asit is past tense. Iti asit shabdena sambadhyate. This universe is, this universe gets connected to its source by the verb asit. Asit also is samanadikaranyam. The wave is water is samanadikaranyam. The wave was water is samanadikaranyam. The wave is samanadikaranyam, was also samanadikaranyam. Because the wave was water just culminates in the wave is water. One kind of samanadikaranyam can resolve in another samanadikaranyam, but sambandha cannot resolve in samanadikaranyam. Bahut badi baat. A relationship can't resolve in samanadikaranyam. The wave was water. The wave is water. Wave was water is what? Samanadikaran. Samanadikaran means, it is not that the wave was in water, the wave was of water, the wave was to water. There is no preposition. Any preposition is called sambandha. But he says the asit. Asit means what? It was sat. It was sat is what? Samanadikaranam. Therefore, asit shabda connects the jagat to its source. Asit is a past tense of asti. Asit is the past tense of asti. Was is the past tense of is. Haji. Was is the past tense of is. The Jagat was the source means even now it is. Anyway, this will come later on. Asit Shabdena Sambandhit. The next line. Kada sadeva idamasidit. When was it sat? You say this was sat. When? This was sat. When? At what time? In which century? Before Christ or after Christ? This before Christ, after Christ, they think, Before Christ means, they always look at it as beyond time. So ancient. Oh, Ramachandra. To put it in its place, I will give you an example. This before Christ or after. They think before Christ means, before the whole Jagat started. 2000 years क्या है? गंगोत्री जाएंगे ना, उनकी किताबों में आपका खानदान लिखा हुआ होता है. It goes beyond the Christ. गंगोत्री में जब जाते हैं, वहां तक समझ में आ गया. और गंगोत्री में एक मंदिर है, उस मंदिर में जो पंडित लोग होते हैं वो एक किताब रिकॉर्ड रखते हैं. कोई भी पिलग्रिम आते हैं उनका रिकॉर्ड लिखते हैं, और उनकी बेटा आता है उनका भी लिखते हैं, फिर उनका बेटा आता है उनका भी लिखते हैं, उनका बेटा आता है उनका भी लिखते हैं. यू कैन ट्रेस इट टू बीसी. हमारा मंदिरों में जो रिकॉर्ड्स होते हैं दे कैन बी ट्रेस टू बीसी जी. ये क्या बीसी एसी? 2000 years is nothing. Therefore, when you say God, this universe was sat when, at what time? It is not at the question of time. Universe includes time. When we say the universe was sat, we mean even time was sat. Time was sat. The space was sat. The space, the time, the form, the thought was sat. When? Not at a given time, before its creation. That is said here. Kada sadeva idamasid ityuchyate. Agre. Shastra says, Shruti says, Agre. Pahale. Pahale means Jagataha prag utpattehe. Before the universe appears. Call it, say it, before the universe appears, or before the universe is seen, or before the universe is created. They all have the same meaning. Takes time to understand what it means. There is nothing wrong in saying before the creation of the universe, or before the appearance of the universe, or before the perception of the universe. Agre jagataha prag utpattehe. Now the next question is, alright sir, if the universe was sat before its creation, does it mean to say it is not sat now? Naturally, if it was sat, it means it is not sat. Kim na idanim idam sat? Kim kya? Idanim now, na idam sat, this is not sat. Do you mean to say it was once upon a time sat? But not now. Yena, by which agre asiditi visheshyate, that you say that it was sat. Pahle tha, you are qualifying it as tha. Visheshyate means it's qualified. You are qualifying the universe as something that was sat. When you are qualifying the universe, when you are describing the universe as something that was sat, does it mean to say it is not sat now? Do you mean that? No, we don't mean that. We don't mean that it is not sat now. Katham tarhi visheshanam, then how can you justify this particular attribute, visheshanam, this adjective? How can you justify tha? Let me put it, how can you justify tha? This jagat tha, this universe was sat, meaning thereby is not. It's almost like saying, because this is how we think. This man used to be good. Means what? He's not good now. Bas itna hi hai. He was rich. We were rich. Means what? We are not rich. This is how man thinks. This is how man thinks, because we always understand things confined to a given period of time. He was rich means he is not rich. Or when I say he will be rich means what? Now he is not rich, he was not rich. You see, we only try to understand things as confined to a given period of time. Similarly here also, if this jagat was sat, does it mean to say it is not sat now? No. Katham tarhi visheshanam? Now he says, idanim api, even now. Idam sadeva, this universe is nothing but sat. Idanim api idam sadeva, even now this is sat, this universe is nothing but sat. Kintu, but Nama Rupa Visheshana Vat, it is Sat plus name and form. Bas. Nama Rupa Visheshana Vat Idam Shabda Buddhi Vishayam Cha. Very beautiful. It is name and form, and it has become an object of thought. It is Sat plus name and form, and it has become idam buddhi vishayam cha. It has become an object of idam. The unobjectifiable looks objectifiable. Thought is nothing but the aparoksham, a creation in aparoksham. It is a very subject. Appearing as a thought because it is made of the subject. It is a made up subject. There is nothing wrong in saying it is a subject that looks like the thought. It is a subject that looks like the object. In fact, the very distortion, I am saying something very important. The very distortion of the subject is in the form of the unobjectifiable looking objectifiable. The unobjectifiable looking objectifiable. Subject as subject can never be objectified, but something created in the subject becomes objectified. That thinking is objectified, name and form is objectified, but it is made of the subject. It is a distortion. Therefore, in a way I can say, it is like saying it is the water that looks like a wave. Similarly here also it is the subject that looks like the object, because the object has no other material than the subject anyway. Thought has no other material, it is made of the thinker. The thinker spins a thought out of himself. Amazing. It is the consciousness that goes into the manufacturing of the thought. It is only the subject that really is the upadanam for the object, but involving no change. The subject remaining the subject also becomes creates an object, becomes objectified. That is called vikritam. The vikritatvam must be understood. The unobjectifiable looks to make it, sometimes it makes one feel uncomfortable. The unobjectifiable can never become objectifiable. The subject's identity as subject can never be objectified, but it does become the material for something objectified. That's called vikara. That's called vikara. One vikara is a transformation. The other vikara is just looking totally opposite. That's called vikritam. Subjectness is prakritam and the object is vikritam. Jagat is a vikara, implying no change at all. It's not a change. Vikara does not mean change. Just looking totally like that it is rope is prakritam and that it is snake is vikritam. It's a vikara, just distinct from the Swarupa. That distinct from Swarupa makes it vikritam. It's like, a person is very peaceful and he is supposed to be peaceful. Then he becomes very angry and he starts shouting and starts pulling his hair and then bloodshot eyes and pulls the other's hair also. How does it look? Vikar. Understand? This is called vikar. Why? He is by nature peaceful and suddenly becomes vikar. It's called vikritam. Vikritam. In language, in literature also we have prakriti and vikriti. Prakriti means, the original word. Vikriti means apaprashta. The apabhramsha, is kind of a vikara. There are a lot of words like that. Oh, Bhagavana. Idanim api idam sadeva kintu namarupa visheshanavati idam shabda buddhi vishayam cha iti idam cha bhavati, and it becomes idam. Therefore, not only it remains Sat, the Sat becomes Idam. If Sat becomes Idam, then what is by nature Sat? It is not Idam, it is Aham. There is nothing wrong in saying Aham. Aham as such is Sat. If this is a modified form of Sat, then the original form of Sat is I. Only two things, me and this. Me and this. Me is the subject and the rest is all this. Me and this. This is an appearance within the me. Therefore, Aham alone is Sat. That is why Yajnavalkya says, Aham Brahmasmi. Vidaranya ka Yajnavalkya ka Mahavakya kya hai? Aham Brahmasmi. Yajnavalkya ka Mahavakya, Aham is Brahma. Aham is Brahma. Aham is Brahma. And now I am not going to go ahead. This Aham Brahmasmi mein, yahan par thoda sa, you can understand what it is. A few classes ago, एक दो हफ्ता के पहले, while doing Upadesha Saram, Upadesha Sahasri, in the morning classes, in Ramana Kendra, we made a point called Atma is Uddeshyam and Brahma is Vidhyeyam or Vidhiyamanam. Shanach pratyaya lagayenge, Vidhiyamanam. Otherwise, it is Vidheyam. Kritya pratyaya lagav, Vidheyam. Otherwise, it is Vidhiyamanam. Instead of saying that is Tat, that. Okay? Tat means that. Thou means Tvam. That thou art kyun? That thou is, why not? Instead of bringing in the verb as per the tvam, that thou art, art means are, A-R-E, that you are. Instead of saying that you are, why can't we say that you is, because is, that can go with is. Is verb goes with is, I-S, is, goes with that is, this is, that is. First I have to clarify that. I am, ठीक है ना? Or I is. I am, you are, this is, that is. Clear है ना? इसमें कोई गड़बड़ नहीं है. That you are के बदले that you is क्यों नहीं हो सकता? I mean, grammatically it's perfect. That you are के बदले that you is, meaning you that is. That is, why not? अहम ब्रह्म अस्मि के बदले अहम ब्रह्म अस्ति क्यों नहीं हो सकता? That is because the answer to it is most beautiful. Because you don't determine Brahman as you. You don't determine you don't inquire into the unlimited and find it to be you. But you make inquiry into yourself and find it to be unlimited. Pratyagatma is the uddeshyam. Pratyagatma becomes the jignasa vishayam. We only make inquiry into the self, and that is discovered as Brahman. Therefore, aham Brahma asmi. The I is determined as Brahman. Thou art Brahma. Thou art Brahma, because the question is, one always makes, one can only, one's own existence can become jignasa vishayam. Some Brahman away from me cannot become jignasa vishayam. See, the Brahmatvam, unlimitedness happens to be my own Swarupa, ununderstood to me. Therefore, I cannot really make inquiry into unlimitedness, because I can only make inquiry into what is evident. What is evident is me, along with the error that I am the form. And therefore, what is uddeshyam? I hope I have conveyed. What is available for inquiry? Subject. Let me put it this much. Sometimes what happens, if you go on with trying to make it subtler, that whole thinking peters out. फिर कुछ नहीं मिलता. Peters out. That is why a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. ये सिद्धांत बहुत जरूरी है. एक छोटा बात समझ में आ गया, आज के लिए काफी है, कल का देख लेंगे. A bird in the hand, a point in my dimag is better than two in the book. A point understood in my dimag is better than two in the book. उसको ना खोऊं. If I go for the two, I will lose the one. वो भी ठीक है. That is why for the timing, all that you have to understand is, what is available for jignasa is only one's own existence. And therefore, aham is determined as Brahma, tvam is determined as Brahma. Not Brahman is determined as tvam. Not Brahman is determined as, it's not that first there is Brahman, then I inquire into it, then come back to myself. That's why they have made it very beautiful. Uddeshyam is very important. And Videya. Uddeshya Videya Bhava is very important. Bhashyakara spends a lot of time in Upadesha Sahasra. Therefore, the moment you say the topic is oneself, distraction is impossible. the topic is oneself, distraction is possible. Why? Because as long as it is not said that the subject is uddeshyam, then one will always think, I'm thinking about something remote also. We start imagining. Once we enter the realm of imagining things, then distraction is distraction. But if you say the subject matter is not something away, the subject matter is yourself, therefore make you look at yourself, probe into yourself, keep track of your existence in the three states, look at yourself. What happens to you in the waking, and what happens to you in the dream, and what happens to you in sleep? Is there a state in which you suddenly disappear, or everything presents to you? If everything presents to you, then you have no disappearance. Even darkness presents to you, the waking presents to you, dream presents to you, and even the negation presents to you. In this manner, keep track of your existence, analyze your existence, observe your existence. If that is all that is to be understood, there is nothing more, and there is something ununderstood about you, and that is that this very subject is the eternal, that this very subject is the truth of all the object, and as such it is Brahman. And therefore, if this is that Uddeshyam, if the Atma is conveyed as Uddeshyam, if the Aham is conveyed as Uddeshyam, Vikshep kahan jayenge ji? Where will the mind go? Where will the mind go? Therefore, distractions also are not arbitrary vagarism. Just as in the morning class I said, dissatisfaction is not arbitrary. It has a logic. It has a logic. Nobody gets dissatisfied just like that. Frustration is not just like that. Nothing happens just like that. It has a reason. It has a reason. We do accept reason-result relationship in the whole problem, even though we don't accept change. But reason-result is there. I see, not seeing the rope as the rope is the reason why I see it for a snake. There is no change, but there is reason-result relation. Nimitta naimittika bhava we accept. Nimitta naimittika bhava, reason-result relationship we accept. Not cause and effect relation, but reason-result relation. That I don't see the rope as rope is the reason why I see it for a snake. That I don't see myself as the subject is the reason why I see myself as the object, the body. And when I see myself as the object, and then I seek satisfaction from the object, dissatisfaction is inevitable. Why? Because every object is incomplete and I want completeness. So frustration. Therefore, what I am telling is a very important point. All our dissatisfactions have a reason, whereas our satisfaction is our nature. Satisfaction is our nature. It is Swarupa. Dissatisfaction has a reason. It is Sanimittam. Dissatisfaction is Sanimittam. Satisfaction is Swarupam. And there is no such a thing in this world called Nirnimittam. Are you able to follow? Nirnimittam means something happens without any reason. That is called Nirnimittam. There is no Nirnimittam. There are only two things, Sanimittam and Swarupam. Everything has to come under either Sanimittam. So unhappiness is Sanimittam, happiness is Swarupam. Are you able to follow? That it is rope, Swarupam, and that it is snake, Sanimittam. Because I don't see it as rope, I see it as snake. What is it? Sanimittam. And any Sanimittam can be handled because you remove the reason, it is gone. Therefore, what is Sansara? Sanimittam, not nirnimittam. It is neither nirnimittam nor swarupam. Why? Because anyway, nirnimittam, the question doesn't arise because that we first decide. There is no such a thing called nirnimittam. Therefore, what is sansara? Sanimitt has a reason. What is that reason? Ignorance. I don't see myself as I am. Therefore, I just take myself for what I am not. And therefore, coming back to the point, therefore, by Yajnavalkya's Mahavakya, it should be Aham Brahmasmi or Aham Brahmasti? Brahmasmi. What did Yajnavalkya say? Aham Brahmasmi. Therefore, he is right. Aham Brahmasmi is right. Shruti. How does Buddhalaga say? Tatu Tvam Asi, not Asti. I am Atma, that I am Atma Brahma Asti, that is subject. Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam as taken as the third person. Awareness is unlimited. Awareness is unlimited. This very self is Brahman. Thou art Brahman. I am. Okay. Vishayam Jaiti Idam Jabhavati. Thus, just another 2 minutes. Just Pragutpattehe Pragutpattestu Agre, before the creation, Agre Kevala Sachabda Buddhimatra Gamyameva Yati. This whole universe existed only as the Sat, because it existed only as the subject matter for the thought of Asti. Sachabda Buddhi Gamyam. Buddhi Gamyam means Kevala Sachabda Buddhi Matra Gamyam. It stands as an object of being. Is an object means it exists only as experienceable as is. To be available as experienceable as is. To be available to be experienced as is or am is what is called Sachabda Buddhi Gamyam. That particular phrase Buddhi Gamyam need not be interpreted as Buddhi Gamyam means Buddhi Vishayam, as an object of thought. Like, we'll go into it later on, but now I am going to just in this particular phrase. Please recollect Sushupti. Recollect Sushupti without imagining deep sleep. Just recollect Sushupti. The easiest thing is to recollect Sushupti. Why? Because it's freedom from. You don't have to scratch your brain in recollecting. Supposing you have to recollect a dream, it's a problem. It's difficult, to remember. To remember a dream is difficult because you can't remember. Recollect yesterday's wake, what all you did in the wake. It's difficult. Please recollect sleep. Just to be. That's called Sachabda Buddhi Gamya. To be. Where there is no thinking, no feeling, no thinking, no remembering, no doing. That is called Sachabda Buddhi Gamya. Sachabda Buddhi Gamya. To be. All that is an object of thought existed only as being. The realm of objectification existed as the realm of being. The realm of thinking existed before the creation as the realm of the being. The realm of thinking, the waves, the realm of creation existed before as the realm of the being. That being, I try to just now I am closing, try to understand the connotation of the word being. I use very profusely the word being. Before the waves rose, how did they exist? Just to be. Even take the word placidity, peaceful. The water was peaceful. What is that? Being. To be water. To be water. To be water. To be water and to be tranquil, one and the same. To be tranquil. The tranquility of the being tranquility of waters is called the being of waters. It's much more than that. To be water is the being of water. To be water without being a wave. Then what? Just think of it. To be water without being a wave. To be water without being a bubble. To be water without being a froth. Is it not tranquility? There is no wave born. There is no movement. There is no wave born. There is no bubble born. There is no wave born. There is no breaker born. So the water is placid. Therefore, the being, the identity of being water is nothing but the identity of being tranquil. Similarly, the identity of being the subject is synonymous with the identity of being tranquil. Tranquility is just another word for the swarupa of the subject. That is why man loves tranquility. Why? Because that is what he is in nature. That is what he is by nature. Man loves tranquility, I am telling you. Even the most extroverted person at the end of the day, he wants tranquility. The end of tranquility. We will continue it later on. And then just one more thought. When the Purva-Paksha asked the question, why do you say that this was Sat? Is it not Sat now? Right here, Bhashikara is going to say it later on. Let me bring it here. We say it was a Sat to convey that it is Sat. That is the Tatparya. It was Sat is a Prakriya, and therefore it is Sat is the Tatparya. Bahut badi baat hai ji. We say it was Sat. We say the waves were water. We say the waves before they were born were water, only to convey that they are water. The ornament before it was made was gold, we say, to convey that even now it is gold. This jiva before he is born, he was Brahman, we say, to convey even now he is Brahman. This you think about.